Test, test, test.
I'm only doing hugs today because I need hugs. Just like go. Get in. Wait. I can wait. Okay. Oh, you give good hugs. Okay. You know how to hug. Thank you. It's so wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. I was so excited. I feel like you remember when what's the woman's name? Shirley Fields won the award. It's
Yes.
like really, like that's how I felt when I first started emailing. So I hung out with Jill Friday a couple days ago. Okay. She's 96, so she's not remembering things. Yeah. She told me to talk about Richard, who was Mario's mentor. When we were studio mates. Richard went to Cat Tech, then he went to CCS, then he went to Yale. Okay. So because my son is my son, he's like, I want to do what he's doing. Sure you do. What am I? What are you cooking, Mom? I'm like, whatever you want. Anyway, so Dale called me to fuss about Richard because he didn't sign a painting. Sabrina, this is Dale Pryor. You know, I'm retired. I'm 96. I said, yes, ma'am. I know I'm retired. So then she said, your son is a superstar. Are you still making art? I just was like, yes, ma'am. She said, well, when's the last time you had a show? I said, every 5 minutes.
Oh, we're going to have a show right now.
I was like, She said, "Are you very good?" I said, "Lord Jesus."
Can't catch
So,
a break.
so I was like, "Is he grilling me like my great grandma aunt?" Like, bruh, what else did I do? If I didn't make artists plan for me, so I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm serious. I'm saving lines out.
Yes, you are. You're doing community service.
And I haven't been online in a couple of weeks because this was when but I will say, and I wasn't funny, I will say, I learned that art is one of the main pillars of medicine that we want to do, and not the same time, I got a phone call from New Lab,
That's when you really sit.
so I'm like, they're like, you just, I was like, okay, I'm not, I mean, I'm happy, but I'm so, I got called, and I couldn't even celebrate.
I don't know why.
And so I'm going to talk about what it means within the Saw Turtle Island on the trailer as we celebrate and sincerely being inspired that we are. And talk about, and I have so many words. Okay. But then I don't like shallow water.
Don't leave the whole board here. Save it.
No, I got notes. But I also got, because I'm like you, I'm a writer. I literally have to write things down. And neuroaesthetic teaches us that also has different. So I've been writing, and so I have a lot of notes. But I was curious if I want to share
So we do have the presentation that you sent me through that, so I was going to show that. You are more than welcome to continue. But
I bought my sketchbook because I want to, if anybody wants to see what I'm doing and how I calm myself down, I do a sketch.
I would have a question about self-care.
Okay. Perfect. So I just wasn't sure.
just to give you like an idea of like how the play is going to go, so I'll show a clip of your work, and then Nada will kind of have a conversation with you about it right after.
Okay, Nada, I'm excited, and I have all of my
I got This is our ASL interpreters. Yes, this is Nada, Olavi, Angela. Whatever. Angela. Yeah. I'm happy. Oh, I see. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Your name is Nada? Things that I did about from the X-ray.
It was very good. At least you weren't like, you actually had it pointed out, so it was good. Yeah. D. I know, those ones get confusing.
Just like it's because we don't have these.
Oh.
That's why we say Baba instead of
Oh. Then what's grandma?
Or Sitsi or Lebanese. Are you Lebanese? You're Syrian. Okay. I'm Lebanese. So, Syrian.
Oh, thank you. I was like, oh my gosh, should we talk about this one? Algeria.
And then I know
You have like your ethnic closes.
no, you're on the right side. Are you right-handed? Okay.
You know, and I never like put two and two together. Like the red light. I mean, I've been to Amsterdam. Like I've interpreted there before, so that's why I was just like, there is. It is. Oh, really? Wow. It's very prominent. Very good.
Right.
Yeah, this is awesome.
They're proud.
I bet. I know it'll probably be ending up starting, so I was just wondering maybe a little bit of what the panel is like. Is kind of talking about discussions, questions, anything. Okay. 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 Like where it stems from, like their breaks and everything like that.
I'm sure that we talk about that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I don't know either. We'll see.
I think they're going to be like chatting amongst themselves, which has been
You do have to have. Like if we do stand, if they end up starting to do discussions amongst themselves a lot, I almost wonder if that's something that I can talk to where we take like the last three and then whoever talks, and we stand kind of in the center and make nine. So then we'll just sign and then it bounces back and forth. I might ask some stuff really quick about
we might be just standing back.
we might start out that way, but if we're going to start evolving, and I have to go on, then it might be like, I'm going to make sure that's next. Yeah, thank you. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Dummy. I'm a dumb dummy.
She was the gateway to this
Let me just invite him.
Hello, hello, hello. Concert of Colors. We are about to begin. I think there are a few seats left. Is it better? That's better. I'm in radio. I should know this, and I shouldn't block my people. My name is Mary Zatina. I'm the general manager of WDET Public Radio. I hope I have some listeners in the audience. Thank you. Thank you. But today I represent even a more important connection. I'm on the board for Concert of Colors. Woohoo! And I want you to know there is a board. We have been heavily influenced by the great Ismail Ahmed, who has told us exactly how he wants Concert of Colors to go forward, and it will go forward. I want to assure you of that. And there is a whole schedule of fabulous events happening today in and around and a lot outside the Detroit Institute of Arts, and tomorrow as well. Ismail Ahmed, raise your hand if you ever had the honor of meeting this great guy. One of the things that was so important to Ish was that we always are inclusive and include all people, and that the Concert of Colors would be free. Totally free. So it's such a wonderful opportunity to have the caliber of musicians and artists and great thinkers like we're going to hear from today, all for free. So thank you for availing yourself of this great conversation. Another affiliation I'm proud of is that I'm a member of the Arab American National Museum. I hope you visited this treasure we have in Detroit. And here to officially kick off this show is Julia from the museum. There she is.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Concert of Colors. Just going to whip out my notes here. Sorry. Alrighty. Salam, everyone, and welcome to the Concert of Colors Forum on Community, Culture, and Race, presented by the Arab American National Museum in collaboration with the Concert of Colors. This is a dynamic gathering of artists, activists, and advocates who use performance and dialogue as a tool for advocacy and community building. Welcome. So I just want to give an acknowledgement to the land that we're standing on, known to the indigenous community as Turtle Rock. Actually, where our museum lies is home to the Anishinaabe, the Three Fires Nation, as well as the Wyandot people. So I just want to acknowledge that. This year's theme is Remember, Reimagine, Truth-Telling Through Art, 250 years on. Marking the 250th of the U.S., it is the mission of Concert of Colors to represent the people of different communities by giving them their own spotlight to express their voices, showcase their talents, and let their stories be told. This year, we also honor the legacy of Ismail Ahmed, one of the main organizers of Concert of Colors. Ismail devoted his life to public service and advocacy, working as a labor organizer and activist, and part of actually our larger nonprofit that runs the museum, Access. In Detroit, Ismail's legacy is inseparable from the Concert of Colors, which he founded 35 years ago. What began as a bold vision grew into a beloved institution celebrating cultural diversity, artistic excellence, and accessibility, bringing communities together through music and performance. I am honored to share a stage with our moderator, Neda Elobi, our keynote, Sabrina Nelson, Jamal May, Esra Warda, Tariq Kazela, and joining us remotely, Clarissa Bitar. Please, she is. I'm gonna turn on the camera in just a moment. You're like, I don't see her. Please give it up for these brilliant creative folks. I'd like to invite our keynote, Sabrina Nelson, to come on up and give her keynote.
Do I bring this?
That's okay, you can stand there. Whatever you prefer.
All right, so I want to say thank you to Concert of Colors, WDET, and everybody who's here today. I want to say that I'm accepting hugs. I need them. They're medicine. I feel like I know some people are still in the moments of COVID where there's 20 feet, no touching. But for me, touching is medicine, and I really, really need it right now. And when I say I need it, I'm going to take it like a crackhead to crack right now. I need hugs. I have been mothering, I've been mentoring, and I've been mourning this past month. And so I am grieving many things, not just people, the loss of relationships, the loss of lives, the loss of the way we used to be, the loss of just all yesterdays that, I remember. And so when I was asked to do this, I thought about, what was the actress name again? Shirley Fields. Do you guys remember her? Sally Fields, right. She, when she won an award, I think it was an Oscar, and she did this thing and she was like, me? You really, really like me? And I thought about that when I got the email where they invited me to be the keynote speaker. And I do not have what some people call, what is it when you don't believe in who you are? Imposter syndrome. I already know who I am. I've been me for a long time. So I've never had that. And this is my 59th year on this turtle rock that we call Earth. Thank you. And some of us will be 60 next year, so I plan on doing something really, I don't know. I plan on doing something big to honor my father, who was an artist before me. And so, but I was still surprised, and I want to give you a quick story. I don't know how many of you know Dell Pryor. She's a part of Detroit's community, the arts community, for a long time, and Dr. Cleety Taylor just died. And they were good friends. I was introduced to Dell Pryor, and I was introduced to Dr. Cleety Taylor by Gilda Snowden. And if you don't know who Gilda Snowden is, please Google her and look her up. But she was my mentor and my professor. And Gilda passed, and so anyway, Dell Pryor called me this week. And she's 96 years old. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, for those of you who are visiting, Dell Pryor had a gallery, and her gallery had a lot of art in it, but she also sold antiques. So she called me and she said, "Hey, Sabrina, this is me, Dell. You know me?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am," because I have her on caller ID. So of course, when I picked up the phone, I said, "Hi, Dell." And I was in the middle of having a breakdown. I was crying, and I was like crying. And so when she called, I didn't want to share my grief with her, because I'm like, this woman is 96 years old. She don't care nothing about what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with. She is living her life. So I picked up the phone, I sucked up my tears, and I said, "Hi, Dell." And she said, "Hey, Sabrina, this is Dell Pryor. You know who I am?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And I literally sucked my tears up. And she said, "Yeah, I'm calling you because Richard Lewis left a painting over here and he didn't sign it." And I said, "Uh-huh." So in my mind, I'm like, why you calling me? Because Richard Lewis left a painting. "Well, I know he really loved you, so I need you to call him and tell him, come on over here and sign this painting." And then she asked me, "Are you still making art?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I know your son is a superstar." And she said it just like that, superstar. And I said, "Yes, he is a superstar. He comes from a constellation of artists." And she said, "But are you still making art?" And I had to swallow. A little bit of it was my ego, but I also had to realize she's 96, and I had to be patient. And as Doug's head says today grace. I had to give her some grace, right? And I said, yes, ma'am, I'm still making art. And up under my breath, and I'm like, well, where do you think he get it from? But I didn't say that. So she said, do you still use your name, your real name? I said, as if I would have another one to use? And she said, well, no, you know, sometimes people change their name. When's the last time you had an art show? And in my mind, I was like, every 5 minutes, Dale. I'm like, this is the only moment that I'm taking a knee. I just got back from Istanbul. I had a show in Paris, had a show in New York, and And I didn't say that to her, but I had to be humble because this woman is 96 and she's calling, making a request. So I tell her, I have to call you back because my phone's about to die. She said, who about to die? I said, Dale, I have a phone that hasn't been charged and my phone needs to be charged. Well, who needs to be charged? And then I realized she couldn't hear me. So I was like, okay, well, Dale, I'm going to call you back and then I'm going to call Richard and I'm going to have him on the phone with me, but I'm going to hang up for a second. Give me a second. I'll wait right here. I called her back and we had Richard on the phone and I said, listen, she's 96. Before I dial her in, we have to go over there because life is short. But we also don't know when we're going to leave. Some of us might have a schedule, but God has jokes. I plan on being here till I'm 103 and I want to leave like an old soul record. I want to be like, look here, I done did everything I said I was going to do. I'm out. It's been great. Good night. But I want to touch some fine ass old man first before I go. And I don't mean like body bump, like in a sexual way. I want to just be like, look at here. I've always had a crush on you. You still fine. You got like 3 teeth left. We could kiss and then we could go. That's all I want. I'm not asking for much, but I think that's a pretty hot move at 103. And then we could just go to sleep together. You ready? Let's go. So that's what my vision is. But God be like, now you're going to have this diabetes, something else going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. So I told Richard, let's go over. We went over. We sat with Dale Pryor. I'm doing a series called She Carries. After spending a month in Zimbabwe, I'm thinking about how women carry around the world. Not that men don't carry, but I'm thinking about how we carry the world in our bellies first, in our womb is what we call them. This is the first home. When our children are in our womb, some of you carry outside of your womb. Some of you have not been physically pregnant, but you got a lot of babies, a lot of them. And I don't think if you have not had them, it doesn't mean that you haven't mothered. So when Mother's Day comes, I'm talking to nurturers, I'm talking to people who have had children that sometimes their biological mothers don't mother them the way you do. So when I'm talking about carrying, this is the first home. This is the safe place. This is how we can protect you here. So I have a show called She Carries. The show that I'm working on is talking about how women carry things physically, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. We carry in our heads, we carry in our arms, we carry on our backs, we carry in our wombs, and sometimes we carry in our eyes. And so I've asked a couple of women to pose for me, and Dale Pryor is one of them because she carried the Cultural Center for a very long time. And I've been asking her grandson for about 3 years, could he take a picture of his grandmother, and he has not done it. So God knows when to call you, because I was sitting on the toilet crying about the loss in my family, and she called and I had to suck it up. And when she called, I was like, Richard, I will drive you over there to sign this painting, and then I will get the pictures, because we ain't got time to wait. So I have pictures of her, and that's a series I'm working on. During this time, I know they asked me about I feel like it was 3 months ago to do this. So 3 months ago when they asked me to do this talk, I was thinking about the world that we live in and how 250 years has gone by. And if you're in a family like my family, my mama ain't celebrating July 4th. because my family comes from Alabama. And some of my family were enslaved. And so July 4th hasn't always been a really happy time for us. Now, they gonna barbecue and they gonna shoot the guns and they gonna, do the fireworks and all of that. But we don't celebrate July 4th like everybody else around us does. We celebrate the fact that we've survived a long time so that our children could not have to worry about the things that we have had to endure so that their lives could be easier. And I find that is a lot for many families. We always want it better for our children. So when Dale she asked me, "Are you still making art? Your son is a superstar." And I'm like, well, he should be a superstar because he's had to stand on the shoulders of his mother, who stood on the shoulders of her father, who couldn't go to art school, who had to work at Ford's. And then when he got off work, he would paint signs in the city of Detroit. And that's how he did his art publicly. And then his mother, who had her first baby at 15, that's my oldest, who is now 43. And for many people, when they hear my story, they're like, wait a minute, you had a baby in the 10th grade? Yep. You didn't go to Cass Tech? Nope. You went to college? Yep. You've traveled all around the world? Uh-huh. Because God has plans for me, and I took my children with me to school and to college. I went to CCS in 1985 thinking I was going to get into college. I didn't even know CCS existed. So when I went because an alumni took me, and I only knew one art college in the whole world, and that was Kendall College of Art and Design, because they came to Cooley High School to recruit in 1985. Those of you who know the scene, be at the DIA tonight. I was not on the scene, but my sisters were. Anyways, I went to CCS. I had an appointment. I bought my sketchbook. I carry sketchbooks everywhere. And all I had was a sketchbook, and I only had art from 5th grade down to kindergarten. I had not had art from 5th grade forward. So schools who don't have art anymore do a disservice to children. And I know there are STEM programs in school, but we need STEAM. We need STEAM. I mean, dance, music, art is important, and a lot of schools don't have it. So with this 250 years, we need to think forward. When I have students that apply to CCS from Korea, from Asia, from the continent of Africa, they've had art since they were in the womb. And then we have kids in Detroit that don't have music, that don't have dance, that don't have, like we used to have violin. I had violin up until the 5th grade. Everybody played an instrument. Everybody went to dance class. Everybody had theater. And after 5th grade, I didn't have it anymore. It went away. And I'm almost 60. So imagine kids now around this country who do not have art in their curriculum because they've taken it out of the curriculum. That doesn't make a whole being. Art is one of the main pillars of medicine. It's one of the main pillars of discernment and intellect, because we learn many things about ourselves as humans with art. Like the cave paintings teach us who was here, right? The indigenous people whose land we are on, who was stolen, teach us about medicine in the forest, how to use it. And, with the genocide of them, kind of went some of their teachings, and now we depend on pharmaceutical medicine, which they got from the trees anyway. So just go and lick the trees anyway. It might heal you a lot better than other stuff, but I'm just saying. So in any case, I just think about my trajectory with art, and I also think about the fact that who I am as a person is a totality of my experiences. So I have a friend named Ashara Ikandayo, who's not here right now, but she's one of my great friends, sisters. We had an exhibit in San Francisco at this place that was run by these Turkish philanthropists. So they paid for me to fly to San Francisco. They paid for me to do my performance piece, which is Why You Want to Fly Blackbird. And if you don't know me, that series is about black and brown mothers who have to bury their children because people don't love their children like they do. So the young man who just was killed recently, the young man who was shot by ICE, the young man who was smothered, the young man who was killed because of the Skittles. They are easily taken because those people who killed them didn't value them like their mothers did. So I was doing death portraits for a long time of people who were murdered, and it became too hard. So I started using the blackbird, the crow, which a group of crows is called a murder of crows. Does anybody know what the raven, a group of ravens are called? Nobody ever knows that. What? A conspiracy and an unkindness. Of course a cast technician would know that. Well, a group of ravens is called a conspiracy of ravens or either an unkindness. So instead of doing portraits of people who were murdered, every time I would do it, it was almost like signs that they used to hang on buildings. Another black man was lynched, during Jim Crow or the Civil Rights era. And so I started doing the birds because I could get more people's attention with the blackbirds and nest and bird cages and the performance of wailing. Because I don't care if you see a mother in Iran, I don't care if you see a mother in Palestine, I don't care if you see a mother in Detroit or a mother in Texas. When a mother loses her child, you don't need language to understand anguish or grief. So I started using these birds instead of children or people's faces to talk about death and to talk about beings that other people don't value and why it's so easy for their lives to be taken. So that's the video you're gonna watch where I'm doing a performance piece. But when I was asked to do this, I was off of social media. I don't have a television. I haven't had a television in my house for probably about 20 years now. I find the idiot box an idiot box, but I have access through my phone. I have access to my iPad, through my laptop. Anything that I want to see, I can see there. And plus, if I'm sitting down watching TV, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So because my artwork is a gift, my father died of COVID. Like, there were so many people in Detroit that died of COVID. My father died of COVID, and I was in complete disbelief. Because he was in a nursing home, I couldn't see him, so I didn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute, not my father. He survived cancer, he survived prostate cancer, he survived rectal cancer, he survived so much living in Detroit as a sign painter, working at Ford's. How dare you call me and tell me he's not alive? Like, I don't believe you. So I decided, that was the first time we've ever had a Zoom funeral, by the way. And so I decided that if I didn't do art, I'm not honoring his legacy, because he would have loved to have gone to art school. Actually, when I told him I was going to art school, he was like, you ain't got to go over there. I can teach you all that shit. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and go over there, but I appreciate you because I don't want to be outside on no scaffolding painting. And guess what I do? Because God has jokes. As soon as I said it with my smart little ass, I was like, I'm not going to be outside painting on no scaffolding outside like people talking to me all crazy. I'm not doing that. I'm going to art school and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And he was like, I could teach you that shit. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want you to teach me. I want to go to art school. So I went to art school, and then I got a mural and I was outside painting on a scaffold. And then I told him and he was like, I tried to told you. So in essence, listen to your people because they know. But I was kind of stressed that he was right. And it's hard to tell people they were right. But you go back and you're like, you were right, I was wrong. So I want to say this. Toni Morrison says, now is the time to do the work. And if you don't know who Toni Morrison is, she's one of America's greatest writers. And she was mentored by James Baldwin, who is my spirit animal. And there was a conversation where she was having about how to live in a time of turmoil and how to create. And what that means is, in our political atmosphere, I don't know how many of you vote, I don't know how many of you don't vote, but we're living in a time where we just celebrated 250 years of this country. That's 250 years behind us, where now we're being told not to include the real history in our history books because we might hurt children's feelings. Look at my face. If I was Nigerian, I would do this. But I'm not. So I'm Detroitian, so I'm gonna do it anyway. Which means we can't include in the history books that children learn the history of who we were. And I think what's important about history, I think people need to know history so that they don't repeat the same mistakes. In African culture, we call that Sankofa, which means to go back so that you can learn from the past so you don't create the same mistakes. So as we move forward from this 250 years of celebrating what we have here in this country as our birthday, you know, from knowing that the Statue of Liberty was given to us from France. Does anybody know what the original looked like? Does anybody not know what the original Statue of Liberty looked like? You don't know? It was a black woman with chains on her. And then when we received it, we was like, we don't want that. We don't want, fix it. Too real. Right, it's too real. So James Baldwin talks about, if I truly love this country, I have to tell you exactly who you are. And you might not like it. But like your parents or people who truly love you, they're gonna tell you when you got a booger on your nose. They're gonna tell you when your slip is hanging or when you have something on you that shouldn't be on you. Whether it's energy, whether it's something you're wearing, whether it's something you're doing, they need to pull your coattail like your grandmama or your auntie and be like, come here, Because you represent not only yourself, but you're representing the whole family. So when Tariq does Tariq's work, he's not just Tariq, he's representing his whole family. So when I do my work, when I step out the door, I'm not only representing Sabrina, I'm representing Thomas, I'm representing Mario, I'm representing Denise, I'm representing Kamari and Anai and Sudani and Sydney and Candace and Lisa. I'm representing my whole community. Let me tell you, when I went to Zimbabwe to teach an artist workshop, they were like, is everybody in Detroit like you? Absolutely they are. They just like me. They look like me, we dress alike, all of that. Because when you leave here, you take your whole community with you. When I go to Paris, they're like, man, you're fun, you're amazing, you're talented. Is everybody in Detroit like you? Absolutely. And I say that to say, I'm always in a room full of people who know way more than me. I'm always in a room full of people that bring stuff. Like when I met you all online, I was like, we about to be besties. Because I don't do none of that. But moving forward, when somebody asks me about it, I'm going to say, you take this dance class over here. Prosthesis for Palestine? I think that's amazing, right? And so we are the community. This is the nest. And we're also a pillar in health and mental health. Arts and cultures heal people. Like if it wasn't for music, if it wasn't for dancing, if it wasn't for Del Pryor calling to make me get up off that toilet and crying, like I needed to, but God knew that, right? And to also think about, I'm only 58. I'll be 59 in August. She's 96. Imagine all the things she's seen. I sat on a panel with Ishmael Ahmed, and we were honoring Charles McGee, who was 100 years old. And he couldn't come to that talk we had. It was at the Charles H. Wright, and we sat there and we talked, and it was really great. But we were thinking about what it is to be 100 years old. What have you seen? What's changed? What do you hope for tomorrow? What do you want to see better? And it is a challenge that we have as artists and creatives. We have to create the world that we want to see. So when I hug all of you, I'm taking your energy, but I'm giving you my light. And I need your light. And so when I think about Toni Morrison saying now is the time to do the hard work, because I'm sad. And I don't know how many of you were in Detroit 2 or 3 days ago, but the shit was on fire. And we're not even on fire, it's Canada. And if it ain't Canada, it's California. And if it ain't California, it's somewhere else. What is that? Isn't that called global warming? And most people, climate warming, most people don't even believe in it because they don't even believe the planet is round. They think it's flat and people didn't go to the moon and all of that. Anyways, for some of you, you have to see it to believe it. But if you were here 2 or 3 days ago, it was smoke in the air and we could not breathe. We had to wear masks because it's fires coming from Canada, right? And so now is the time that we need to do the work. We need to talk about the planet. We need to talk about the people. We need to vote. There are people that are being murdered in broad daylight, and other people are getting away with it because our government says it's okay because they work for ICE. I don't think that's cool. I don't think it's cool at all. That's my personal belief, and that's my point of view. And I brought up Ashara's name to say, when we had the show in San Francisco, it was years before we had the show in Paris. But that night we were in San Francisco, we were looking up and we saw a full moon. And I was like, damn, the moon is huge. It was almost like, you know how you see the low-hanging moon? I mean, it kind of looks low-hanging, but it ain't, but it looks huge, and you could see the full thing. That happened in San Francisco. And then when we were in Paris, it was a full moon. And I was like, oh, Ashara, every time I'm with you, it's a full moon. And she looked at me and she said in a very calm voice, she said, sis, the moon is always full. It's our point of view. I was like, damn. She's like a mermaid, right? So when you think about that, the world is always spinning. And there's something going on the planet everywhere. There's someone dying, there's someone being murdered, there's someone being born, there's someone making love, there's someone sharing light, there's someone being angry, there's someone being depressed, there's someone being joyful. The moon is always full, the world is always full. It is our duty to continue to make during all of the stuff that we go through. In 250 years of being on this continent that we call North America, the land of the free, right? And those people who wrote that proclamation, situation. By the way, it is a situation out here with lettuce and other things. So not only are we dealing with the fire, we are having a whole situation. Okay, so not only, and what is it called? What's the name of it? I mean, I can't spell it because it's got a lot of syllables in it. Elemental P, but a supercalifragilistic, don't eat that shit-alistic. Anyways, not only do we have that, and then we had the president give a talk where he was supposed to follow the teleprompt and not talk about the stolen election, and somebody bet on it and got caught. I saw that too. I was like, in any case, the world is always spinning. The moon is always full. We're going to always create, but it is our duty as creatives to keep making the artwork, even when we don't feel like it, because people need us. We are the medicine that people need. Dance is what I need right now. I need to dance because I'm tired of crying. I don't know how to say this, but art saved my life. I'm very thankful for it. Music is a part of that. If I didn't have music or art, I would hurt people. And I'm talking Laura Croft or James, is it James Brunson? Who was the guy who would always be like the people, Charles Bronson. The people who hurt people, I would hurt them. So I forget the name of that, what it's called. I would be a vigilante. I would dress up like Laura Croft. I would be the best looking ninja ever because I would bedazzle my shit. I would have on like some kind of black hijab, but I would have crystals over it and some great eyeliner. And I would just be like walking on walls and I'd be like, you hurt old people and kids, take that. So since I can't do that, I might as well make art. So I'm saving lives because I would be out here. I would be like, did you do what to somebody who was 90-something years old? You hit them on a bus stop because you weren't okay? I'm going to take you up off this planet because you don't want to be here. Or you did what to these kids? Everybody who hurt somebody in Gaza, I would be taking them out. If I had magical powers, I would be like Thanos. I would be Thanos. I would be like, you don't even need to be here no more. Bye. And you get a minivan, and you get a minivan, and you, goodbye. So I feel like art tells the truth because we don't care. We don't care about what you tell us we can have in history books. And James Baldwin said that. Nina Simone said, it is the artist's duty to tell the truth and to talk about the time you live in. And if you aren't doing it and you just doing it for pretty things, that's cool too, because neuroaesthetic teaches us that 20 minutes a day exposed to art, whether it's dance, music, or theater, helps to release stress levels in your life. It also lowers your, I think it's serotonin, and it also gets rid of anxiety. So even if you don't make art, if you go to the DIA for 20 minutes and just walk around, it relaxes you. If you dance for 20 minutes, what does it do? It relaxes you. So art and culture is a form of medicine that they don't tell you about because they want to prescribe medicine to you. I'm going to write you a prescription for vitamin C, culture, vitamin A, art, and we saving lives. Because I just think it's important and even if you can't make it, surround yourself with people who do poetry. Like when I hear Jessica read, or when I hear somebody read poetry, I'm like amazed. I get goosebumps. Sometimes when I hear music, I see colors. I forget the name of that, but it's also whatever that name is too. But I will tell you that art saved my life, and my hope is moving forward, you surround yourself with artists who create, because they're some of the best people in the world. And they know how to say stuff that you can't figure out the words to use. Because somebody else going to tell you, you probably shouldn't say that. But we don't have those filters. We live life in an honest way, and you're going to get 120% Sabrina. And when I say situation, you're going to look it up in the dictionary, and it's real. I said it. I ain't taking it back. And that means the way that the world spins and the way that I think about things. But I don't separate the arts. I think we're all connected. I might draw it. She might dance it. He might sing it. Or somebody else might build it or perform it. But it's all connected. And my hope is that you spend the time this weekend at Concert of Colors, not only listening to the music, but take a moment to walk into the DIA. Take a moment to look at the murals around the city. Take a moment to write in your book, because this is also a form of art. Get a journal. Get a journal. If you don't have anybody to talk to, get a journal. I think that's important. I had a couple other things, but I wrote down so many notes about what's happening in the world and how we process things through the change. I don't want to give you a history lesson, but I will say, thinking about the Statue of Liberty and how she was supposed to look. I want us to all think about that, and you all have mobile devices. I want you to look up the story of the Statue of Liberty when you get a chance, and look up the history of how she was given to us by France, and she was supposed to represent the freedom of the slaves or the enslaved people. And they changed her to look like something different. So I feel like our country always does that. They don't want you to see the ugly things. But for me, and I shouldn't say but, and for me, I need you to see the truth so that you know moving forward that it is our duty to tell the truth to each other so we can get better. And that's all I gotta say. That's it.
Hi. Sabrina, thank you so much. That was unbelievable. Bravo. We not only really, really like you, we really, really love you. Thank you so much for giving so much of your heart and your soul and your spirit to us. That was some art. I'm Netta Ulaby. I worked for NPR for about 26 years. It's an honor to be here, except it's an honor to be here in this beautiful theater. I don't like being up here. I don't like being taller than you. I don't like being farther from you. And I feel like we are in a moment right now of disruption. I want to chop things up a little bit. I don't want to do the kind of thing where I'm like, blah, 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 you, blah, 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 you. I think that we can make things a little bit more interesting. I think we need to trust each other more. I think we need to erase the boundaries a little bit. I think everybody here is some kind of artist in some kind of way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here at all. You are all incredible culture makers. I would like to put us all in conversation with each other. If somebody says something that you're interested in, please raise your hand and respond. If one of you says something that the other one fills your heart, please respond. This is a conversation, not a blah, 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 blah. We are done with that. I also wanted to thank you before we get started, because there are so many demands on you right now. There is a conspiracy against us being, it's a situation. There are so many things conspiring against you being here with us in this room right now. The air is against us. The attention economy is against us. Extractive capitalism is against us. That phone that you are holding in your hand is against us. But we are here right now. We are present together. And we are going to fill our cups. Thanks for being here right now. We're going to get going. Julia, are you ready to do introductions and to roll? Take a mic.
Oh, we're wrapped around the table. Hold on.
Who are you?
So, Julia from the Arab American National Museum. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. So I would actually be remiss to not let these folks introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what you do, where you're from, and then we can start showing presentations. Sound good? All righty.
Yeah, let's
Sure.
start with you, Tariq.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Cool. Hi, I'm Tariq Ghazala, aka Eccentric. That name comes from years ago when I was in the hip hop world, and I kind of moved sort of away from, not culturally away from hip hop, but I think musically away from hip hop, because I'm a multi-instrumentalist and I wanted just to utilize everything and in different formats and in different time signatures and in just different worlds of genres. So yeah. I am also one of the co-founders of Prosthetics for Palestine, which is a part of Physicians for Palestine, which is a nonprofit that is desperately trying to get aid into not only just Gaza, but also wider Palestine, and eventually wherever Palestinians may be. And we're very proud of the org and what we've been doing. It's super dope and very inspiring because we recently got our first 3 limbs into Gaza, and we're just like extremely ecstatic. And seeing the videos is like, it's so dope. So yeah, and on the art side, I just released an album that is a fundraiser for the project itself. It's called Watani 77 to commemorate 77 years of genocide, 77 years of ethnic cleansing, 77 years of demented, racist, violent, disgusting Zionism that has colonized and has destroyed our country of Palestine. But it has not destroyed the Palestinian people, it hasn't destroyed our will, and it will never, ever alter our history as an indigenous people to that land. So that's what I would say. Thank you for having me. I'm super, super enamored and so just humbled, I guess they say.
And folks, the way we're going to do this is Julie and I have figured it out. We're going to play a clip of the artist after each introduction. So Julie, do you want to go ahead and roll? All righty. You know what? There's just a couple. It looks like there's a minute or so left. Do you want to finish it off?
Yeah, you get to see them all get hung from buildings. It's kind of fun.
We can't miss that.
Upside down. Because who doesn't hate bankers and predatory people in our communities, right? So I figured it would just be like, let's go get them.
One quick question before we move on. Can you just tell us what it was that we just saw? When did you make it?
It's actually kind of old, believe it or not. It's from 2012, and at the time, Oakland was going through rapid gentrification. Our communities were being decimated by all these predatory house buyers and all this like cash for your house and all this just really shady stuff. And obviously, sort of the community not having its center anymore, like people got broken up, and like, you know, you have people scattered all over the Bay Area, and you know, nobody was talking about what are the issues and who was funding all these folks. And so I wanted to show that, like, you know, the corruption from City Hall and then the bankers, and then that goes down to like who's on the street level, you know what I mean? It's not like the biggest drug dealers in our communities aren't the kids on the street. The biggest drug dealers in our community is the fucking CIA, you know what I mean? So it's who wear suits. Yes, these men are, you know, savages in suits. So it's like, I wanted to sort of put that all together in an Oakland context and also just in a very angry way.
Bravo. Will you please introduce yourself and also tell us what the clip is that you're going to show us?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hello. This is my first time ever in Detroit, actually. So I heard that I'm going to make new friends, lots of new friends here. So, make sure that happens because I need some friends. My name is Isra Warda. Most people just refer to me as Warda. And I'm a dance artist. My whole life is revolved around the very niche arts of Algerian traditional and popular dances, aka, heritage dance forms. And I'm a performer, I'm a artistic director, I'm a curator, I'm a choreographer, and I also educate. A big part of my dance world on stage and in the classroom is about education and about being honest, honestly. It's funny, the panel is called Truth-Telling because I always tell people that the pedagogy of my dance studio is honesty. And I'm really big into keeping it real and talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because if you only talk about the good, that's pretty much propaganda, right? If you only talk about good shit. So my work, it comes from a very decolonial ethos as an Algerian woman, because I always say, Zair al-Barah و فلسطين غدوة, which means Algeria yesterday and Palestine tomorrow, because I'm blessed to come from this ethos of the Mecca revolution in Algeria, and I come from a big tradition, not even cultural traditions and dance traditions, but I come from a big tradition of freedom fighters, like literally in my family. It's not like a theory that I just talk about on the IG hashtag or whatever. It's something that I have. This is where I come from. You know what I mean? And even freedom fighters, some people from literally with guns on the street to aunties in the house cooking dinner or hiding somebody in their well, so all of that counts. So anyway, I want to share with you today a piece. This is this is an interesting video because I just honestly, just the first 2 minutes is enough. You don't need to see the whole thing. But this is a song that I co-produced and sang back vocals on and also danced for and choreographed with my project in Algeria called KN. And this song is called Wargla Wish Darat Fransa, which means Wargla is the name of a mountain in Tlemcen, and the song literally means Wargla, the mountain, what this mountain did to France. So it's actually what we call a traditional from the Alawi repertoire, from the region of Tlemcen, which is in West Algeria, and we essentially rearranged this traditional, which nobody really knows, honestly. It's like an unknown traditional in Algeria called Wargla Wish Darat Fransa. The Alawi repertoire is actually a repertoire that we consider militant music. So Alawi music is, and the dance, which is what appears to be a very simple dance, which you'll see, is mostly dance with the shoulders and the foot stomping, because it's meant to evoke like battle gestures. So Alawi is a style of music that's become like modern and contemporary now, which you'll see. You know, I got the hair done and all that stuff and whatever. But traditionally, it's this is essentially a modern interpretation of Alawi music and Alawi dance that is an innovation of, battle gesture music. Like, this is the kind of music we used to play when we won a what do they call that? Like if we won a victory dance, if you won,
I was about to say,
yeah, it's like a victory dance, yeah, but it's like, it's a victory dance, especially this was, and a lot of the stomping has to do with like syllables that were chanted during war times. So, this is Alawi. Yeah, so just the 2 minutes is fine. And I wrote a little poem in the beginning.
The body remembers. It's an extension of our land, filled with the rhythm of our martyrs, marching downhill to battle. This collective trauma is what we call culture.
أباك راني مريض والقلا واش دارت لفرنسا ديما مسكلها الشار خويا ارواح ولا انا نجيك والقلا واش دارت لفرنسا أباك راني مريض واش دارت لفرنسا ديما مسكلها الشار يا والشار عند الشار حتى للديار والقلا واش دارت لفرنسا خويا كي راني مريض والقلا واش دارت لفرنسا ديما مسكلها الشار
Please. I haven't spoken out loud in a while. All right. To an audience, that is. My name is Jamal May, aka Versus, aka very recently Rolling Horse, and Alain, Jamal Alain. Don't really use the may as much anymore, but it's there. Everything is palimpsest. I come from like a long line of people. Like I found out like my DNA was so I'm like a black Indian, but there's Scottish blood too. And I grew up. My mom's favorite movie was Braveheart, and it, like we didn't know why. She just loved watching Scotsmen cut the heads off of colonizers. That was her jam. And, it's like so like the patch on my back says 500 years we still drumming, but it's way longer than that. The work that I've been doing more recently we've been talking a lot about like just like kicking it, like we were talking about like this idea of the dovetailing we're talking about it as well, the dovetailing of your personal experience and the community, because that question of like how do you sustain yourself as an artist is part of like one of the things we're thinking about. And we also talk about how art sustains you as a person, but the cure is inside of the question, right? Like as a person who gets isolated a lot, like systems push me out. Like I won't get into the drama of the last 10 years of my life, but systems organically push me out, even ones that want me. Like there are communities that love me. Like I found out recently, like I confirmed a theory, and there are places where I'm considered dead or disappeared. I met one of our powerful community activists over on the North End finally, and she was like, wait, I do know you, Jamal, that poet that disappeared. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like how you disappear when everybody got your address, your social media, your phone number, mutual friends. There doesn't have to be a person in a room with levers and computer screens watching you to control your life. This, like, what we've always been up against, what we've always called evil, is right there in the alchemy that we've slid inside of English. English is full of like booby traps for the Imperials. Trust me. What's evil? We living, y'all. We live. We going that way. Which way you going? Right? So the work that I've been doing is like the work of healing myself, and now I'm ready to kind of share what I've been, I'm coming down from the mountain, coming out of the cave, it was useful to be isolated in the way I was from performance, in ways that were really difficult to deal with, like for everything from my like just spirit to like my like financially, like I'm like technically I'm homeless right now, but when you move people and you connect with people, you can't really truly be homeless, So basically it's like I got like a really cool Airbnb where my cat can be like in my homie's house. They got a family home. It's ancient. It's been there in Detroit for a long time, right in over by the Clark Park. It's like you just keep staying with the flow. You like the work will like get you where you're trying to be, right? And so I consider myself an anti-disciplinary artist, a term I learned from another artist a while ago. The idea is that like what the different forms are, different forms out there, different techniques, different genres, different schools of thought, but it's less of you figuring out the rules of those, and more so like you being like, what do I need to make the thing I need to make? Like, do I need to learn how to make tapestries? Like, okay, let me figure out how these looms work, right? It's like, and when you work in a community with that kind of mindset, and the best parts of my life have been when I've been able to get that going in a way that was like temporary at the time, but I think it's the long-term game where we're circuit together. And I get to be a node. This is African philosophy, Ubuntu, in a technical way of framing it. Ubuntu says, as Bishop Desmond Tutu said it, Ubuntu is not I think, therefore I am. It is I am because you are. Like you are, therefore I am. Like I get to be an individual because of this community, because of the circuit. And that's what I was like. So I also want to throw like how grateful I am to be a part of this, because these are like people I harmonize with. Like this tuning forks. You bring tuning fork into a room with another tuning fork, they both vibrate, right? But the game for a long time was to keep us all separated. And that's why it seems like there's so few of us. And so I'm really careful with human mouth sounds right now, because we're programmable matter, and it's easy to, and we create this submersion. So when we're using language, like you say river, and it feels like you're talking about a river, but you got to remind yourself that like that's a code I'm running. I say river because you know the code and it's embedded in you. You have a river like in your heart, and that's our superpower. That's the collective consciousness becoming tangible to us, and that's where art is. That's that bridge. That's why everybody absolutely needs art, and it's the most important thing ever. And we got to get as much art as possible. But also, why do we need to pay artists? Huh? Like we could just steal all this stuff off the internet. I have a book that I physically couldn't publish if I wanted to do the work that I'm doing, because it's a part of a triptych that Anthropic could not have. I already knew they had my first 2 books, because that's how Take does it. They say, we'll just steal everything and then apologize later. So I got my letter earlier this year saying that my 2 books that they stole and put into their demon. I mean, it's literally, that's what we call them, like in the tech world, DAEMON, it's the demon. So when they put my books into their demon, then they're like, linear thinking is that, okay, now we got all of humanity's knowledge. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have a thimble dipped into the Pacific Ocean of our knowledge, and we're still making it. And part of my statement to that was like, I stopped publishing. And it was very organic. There was multiple reasons not to publish, and I just stopped. And there's lots of reasons that you have to publish. I had a tenure track job at Wayne State. Like, they started trying to push me out. Like, they succeeded, like, for now. But like, there's a stake there. I have stakes in this. I had an idea when I was 7 years old that by the time I got old enough that people had to listen to me, there'd be a bunch of other people that were seeing what I was seeing. I kept asking the question, why weren't the adults fixing anything? And the adults kept saying, we're waiting on the kids. And so as you evolve and change and grow, I took my anger, like, I believe Children Are Futures be the song I hated the most growing up. Because I was like, what about now? What about now? But I was like, there are gonna be other kids. I was like, what if they're telling the truth? What if they are waiting on us? Like, the idea, and you hear this stuff growing up, the ancestors, where their dream, where their plan, their idea. And the argument that we're making is that their world is not sustainable. It's a closed feedback loop. It's a recursive cycle, and recursive cycles crash faster when you put more energy into them. So I just want to say, stay strong, stay resilient. The more chaos and insanity you see, that's the further past the Rubicon we've gone. Like, consciousness isn't going backwards. The consciousness around Palestine, for example, we were talking about it. It's not going backwards, y'all. So stay with it. And for my sharing piece, I just want to share a few of the what I call the escape bars. These are. Okay, I'm gonna get my human mouth sound right. I have different dialects now. I created a dialect called Authentic English, but I was raised on Turtle Rock under imperial occupation, and the language they speak is Imperial English. It is full of imperatives. It is constant. It's derogatory. It presses on you, and it constantly wants to tell you what to do. But the alchemists, the spiritual leaders, the revolutionaries of the world for centuries, we've been working with that language. We've been putting some stuff in there. Like, if this is the language everybody gonna speak, what's gonna happen when we the best with it, right? So now everybody in China speaks English. I'm really good with English and all kind of human mouth sounds, right? So for a while I was like joking that like I've been writing, I've been getting back to more metered rhyming poetry, like metered poetry with a rhyme scheme, right? 4/4, right? But I've been finding this flexibility because to heal myself, when I say heal, I'm talking about all of it, right? Like all of this, all the dark, heavy stuff, whatever, but also like straight physically. I couldn't see out of my left eye. I was legally blind in my left eye before I started this journey in 2014. This leg of it. I started this when I was 7. I was 7. I walked into dream time not knowing what that was. And we had a plan. We was like, yo, they say they waiting on us to do it, but every time we look at them, they say the reason they're not doing it is because they have kids. And then when we look at the adults with their young adult children, they're always trying to get them to hurry up and have kids. And I was like, so at some point there's gonna be a bunch of us that like maybe some of us will have kids, some of us won't. Like you said, you didn't have children, but you have like people that didn't have children have a lot of babies. I know a lot of those folks. And I was like, there's gonna be a moment where we'll be old enough that they won't be able to tell us what to do no more. And I remember I stopped and I went and asked them. I was like, how would you have me to be president? Not because I want to be the president. I was like, how'd you have to be? There's like 35. I was like, okay, so for my childhood, somewhere north of 35, like we rounding it, we gonna round it up. And I'm seeing it happen. Like we're pulling together. Like people like us used to be organically just kept apart. All you had to do was leave it on autopilot. So I want to do a big up to all the organizers and planners and money people and venues that make stuff like put this happen. Because I can't be myself without this space. I don't get to be Jamal versus Roland Horace May without this room. And there's so many people that put that together. That's our superpower. That's the collective consciousness doing this thing.
Let's hear the poem. Let's hear the poem. I want to hear the poem.
This will be quick. These they wrote line by line over years. And what I want to demonstrate is just some sonic. I'll keep it short by like giving you like 2 versions of the same thing really quickly. I've been patient, trying to write a way out of their matrix ever since they had me typing basic. Basically ancient, rhythm lay on pages, or maybe more like ageless, wisdom in the pavement, peep. My second classroom was concrete. The first was the garden that my granny used to keep. Cause deep beneath the soil was my mycelium, a city never sleeping way beyond where the sun couldn't reach.
church. I learned teamwork from the way this earth works. Sat alone in the dirt till my own earthwork was a neural network, and I became an expert at the task of begin, then begin again. Breaking down the code of the system I was in. I had trouble blending with the people, go with blending in. The impulse to pretend gave way to the melody within. Nothing contends with the infinite travel of intimate mental prattle, the intricate lyric battles, babbling out of babble we continue. So I've been patient, trying to write a way out of their matrix ever since they had me typing basically ancient. Rhythm lays on pages, maybe more like ageless, wisdom in the pavement, peep. My second classroom was concrete. The first was the garden that my granny used to keep, cause deep beneath the soil was my mycelium, a city never sleeping way beyond where the soul couldn't reach. Church, I learned teamwork from the way this earth works. Sat alone in the dirt till my own earthwork was a neural network, and I became an expert at the task of begin, then begin again. Breaking down the code of the system I was in. I had trouble blending with the people, good with blending in. The impulse to pretend gave way to the melody within. Nothing contends with the infinite travel of intimate mental prattle. These intricate lyric babbles, we're babbling out of babble. Computers can't keep up with ourselves, cause we'd have spent too many lifetimes. I won't be with myself on all of the selves and all of my cells. Yeah. So that's simple.
Can we do Clarissa next? And then you'll be our grand finale, Sabrina?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
No, thank you all for accommodating. I know the fires haven't been easy for you all, I'm sure, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so basically, again, I apologize I couldn't be in person with you all. I have really bad asthma. It would have been probably not the smartest idea for me. But I am a oud musician and composer, born and raised in the Los Angeles area, but currently living in the Bay Area, exotic. I guess I'm somebody that really just started off with a deep love and passion for my culture, and I'm Palestinian. Both sides of my family are from Palestine. My mom's side were refugees in 1948 from the village of Ankat, and on my dad's side, they had to leave in 1967. They're from Jerusalem. They had to leave during the 6-Day War. So, you know, for me, I think growing up in diaspora in Los Angeles, both my politicization and also my deep love for my culture was kind of like growing at the same time, I think, and in many ways it fostered this deep excitement for my culture. And I think when I didn't grow up as an oud player. I actually started playing oud when I was 18. So I just grew up loving Arab music. I was playing guitar, and I would always try to make my guitar sound Arabi, but never really understood the theory. And then when I went to college, I had this opportunity to learn oud and learn Arab music. And I think, having such a deep pride in my culture and in my people, that kind of made me feel excited to learn this new element of my culture, this cultural treasure that I really didn't have an ability to learn before. And for me, when I started learning the oud, it was, immediately this thing clicked where I was like, this is my way of participating in my culture. This is my way of telling stories. This is my way of holding tradition. And this is my way of also giving back to my community that has fostered such a, deep love for my culture. And this is a way I can give it back. And I feel like my work, has transformed throughout the years. But for me, I'm always thinking like, what's it gonna be like, when I don't have my grandparents to play for, when I don't have this generation. And I would always think about the younger generation diaspora and how I wanted to share some of these treasures around music that I grew up with in a family that really fostered that, and a deep connection for that. And I would always think about that and trying to help foster that for also like a lot of younger generations of Palestinians or just Arabs in diaspora. And that kind of made me want to compose music, not only for them to know about our music, but also to have messages that like politicized and that could help have us also like another angle to help politicize our community and to learn about the struggle for Palestinian liberation. And so, yeah, for me, that's just been always it's been an important fuel for my fire in terms of like why I find playing the oud and composing music and sharing it with people in diaspora and all over, that why I find it to be so important. You know, I feel like, especially now, we can't understate how violent and disturbing we've seen the actions of Israel and of Zionists and of the United States, and so much of our culture hasn't been able to be put on display, but also hasn't even just been able to just exist and thrive and like be nourished in Palestine. And so to me, that's a huge, weight on my shoulders, thinking like, these are our treasures that we have a duty to keep up and hold up and to share with our next generations, and to keep facilitating that people can hold on to these things, whether it's food or music or language. And these are these things that connect us to our culture and bind us and create like nourishment for us to keep going politically and to keep pushing against Zionism. So for me, this is kind of like the motivation behind my art, and yeah, why I keep going. A lot of times, if a lot of people are talking about AI and talking about the economic conditions, it's been difficult at times, I think, to feel positive about where the art world is looking in general, or especially as a Palestinian, we've had a lot of our avenues for monetizing on our art. A lot of the institutional access for funding that we've been able to access for our art has been systematically cut off by Zionists, and it's posed new challenges and difficulties that we've had to navigate and work around as artists. And so we're seeing the very material realities of them trying to chokehold our art, trying to chokehold our culture, chokehold our message, chokehold our movement. And I think, pushing back against that in whatever way that we can. And like Hassan Kanafani said, being a thorn in empire in any way that we can, I think that's really what motivates me and why I try to keep going. So for an introduction, I think I'm going to play for you all a little ta'asim, which ta'asim, if you don't know, a ta'asim is an instrumental improvisation in Arab music, and it's kind of like telling a story. You start in one maqam or mode, and you modulate to neighboring maqamat, and you are showing off not only your technical skill as an oud player or as a musician, but also you're showing off your depth and understanding of the maqamat system, or the Arab music theory that holds and codifies our system. So you go through different scales and tell that story until you come back home. And that's kind of the journey of the improv. And so that's what I'm going to play for you all right now, and I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully you guys could hear that. I don't know.
That was dope.
And that was Clarissa Bitar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Sabrina Nelson.
Hi again. I had so many things to say about mine, but I'm going to keep it really brief because I know we're supposed to be done really soon. But I want to say that my performance that you're going to watch here, you can pull it up on YouTube. You can also watch it on PBS. I know they play it. I don't have a television, but sometimes every time it plays, my mom calls me and tells me I'm on TV again. I'm like, amen, but I'm over here on the couch or in the studio because I'm not really there right now. I do want to say just one brief thing that I wrote down a while ago. All men are created equal. That was something somebody wrote that is not absolutely true. We are a contradiction. We must make the world a better place with persistence. Reckoning with our past is not about despair, but it can be about what's possible. So earlier, for those of you who weren't here, I was just saying we need to keep creating so that we change the world that is happening now based on the 250 years behind us, what we have to look forward to. Do we have the courage to change and create the future we want? The prison of our past can gift us the knowledge of what not to do again. 250 years of courage, sacrifice, and hope. We have the opportunity with creativity and dignity to change the world, to make it a better place for those who are not here. And that's all I'm going to say. But this video is, I think it's not more than 2 minutes long, but it's really based on my practice in my studio and why you want to fly Blackbird. I think my medicine is art. My language is art. I think the term artist means to be responsible for what's happening in the world, how you see it, how you record it, how you make things that are a result of what you are trying to say, whether it's a question you're answering or a story you're trying to tell, or here's something I need to make because it's just embedded in me, like I have to make something. Detroit is embedded in who I am. I've been here all my life, since the rebellion in 1967. That's when I was born. And so everything around me becomes a part of the story I'm trying to tell or the question I'm trying to ask. My superpower is being able to visually communicate how I feel about what's happening in the world. Nina Simone says if you're going to be an artist, it's your duty to reflect what's happening in the world. And in the world that I live in, from the time I can remembering, there's always trauma and hurt and pain. And I'm not always talking about that, but you can't ignore it. And on this day, I think about the lives that are lost, that are constant, like coming at me through different mediums. And so I'm thinking about homicides and deaths of young people and how I'm affected by it. But I'm talking about death where people aren't considered people, like you don't matter. You're not important. So I'm just gonna take your life. I don't care how old you are, I don't care who you belong to. And when that person is missing from our communities, not just the blood family is affected. We are all, and we should all be concerned. You know, a life is a life, a human is a human. And so in this work, I'm talking about that pain. The name of the exhibition is Why You Wanna Fly, Blackbird, and I got it from a Nina Simone song, who talks about black women like, how dare you try and be happy in your life? How dare you not expect pain? Pain is gonna come. You have to move through it and you have to live, but pain will be here. I didn't want the colors to be so seductive that it draws you in as pretty. Like, I don't like the idea of my work being pretty. I want it to be impactful. I want it to be deeper than just what you see. And I wanted it to be large enough to have some girth to it. So these particular pieces are very large drawings. They're also reliquaries, if you will. So they talk about like the body, the housing of the bodies that we have, like the home, and then what it's like to have a nest with no eggs in it. Thinking about the empty nest of children who never return. You know, I don't care how old they are, they never can return. So I'm just talking about the darkness in that and expressing it with the most eloquence that I can. The cages will represent empty homes. That can be the home that they lived in, that can be the community that they lived in. How do you deal with that? You know, that room that's empty. And so when we lose these people that are not treated with value out of our communities, how do you deal with that? So LaVon is helping me on the dresses because I want to make dresses that will hang from the ceiling just above the patrons' heads, but the bird cages will be the empty wombs underneath the dresses. And so I'm asking him to help me figure out how I'm gonna make the dresses, which are made out of Japanese rice paper, so that they can be sheer enough that the bird cages can go underneath them and the patrons can see them with the lighting. And hopefully they have the impact that's in my head and in my heart. I want people to pay attention to it and to be more empathetic with others' lives. If you see something happening and you can do something about it, why wouldn't you? And so when I look at the homicide rates across the country, they're incredibly high for African American, Indigenous, and also Latin American children. And so if this is all I can say and do about it, I want someone to know that I care. Even though they're not my children, I care that they're missing, that they're gone, that there's, you know, somebody should think about doing something about it. the motion of movement when I'm making these things. Like when I did the nest here, you know, the motion of drawing and drawing and drawing, you know, that obsession of movement and what it feels like to do that. These movements that we do over and over become very much ritual. Maybe these are all prayers visually to say, I'm sorry that your life is gone, but I want to say that you meant something, that you were important. Every artist wants someone to look at their work for a long time. And I didn't want to make it so obvious and obtruse where it's like, you know, you see people getting killed. But I think the work and the drawings and some of the paintings that I'm using can be seductive. So I want people to make sure that they walk away with knowing that I'm in a world, I am affected by it, and don't just listen to the news and be in the world and not really take part in what's happening. Think about what your voice is and what your superpower is and see what you can do to help. I want to say something that's important, and I want to leave this world with something that someone's learned from me. My work might be sensual, it'll draw you in, and then it's going to slap you a little bit. And that's what I hope I show.
If you follow Sabrina Nelson on Instagram, which I do, and which I recommend you do, it's Sabrina Nelson 67. You will have seen that she posted a quote recently, actually in conjunction with this convening today. You quoted Toni Morrison saying, "It is the job of evil to prevent us from doing our work." We feel, I think all of us, surrounded by evil. It's in our air, it's in our food, it is in the news. And as artists, I wanted to ask each of you, how do you prevent evil from doing its job? How do you stay engaged with the world, which is your job as artists, but also keep yourself safe?
I'll take that question real quick. God has jokes. Because I was done. I was sad, I was upset, I was mourning, I didn't want to do work. Right after my father died, I think I laid in the bed during COVID for like 7 or 8 days, and then something always taps me and says, get up, get up. You don't have time to sit here, and I know it's okay to take a knee, but I feel like some spirit always comes to me and says, get your ass up. Because if you don't, you're not honoring the gifts that you have, and somebody needs your light. So for me, just recently when I lost my son-in-law, I don't have time to really sit and mourn so much because I have to get up and share his light and honor his legacy for his children, his wife, his widower, and now for me because it's healing. So if I don't make, I'm not being who I'm supposed to be. So I think there's something in all of us that makes us move. Like I could quit doing art, but I tell you it won't be good for people. I'm not a good person outside of being an artist. I keep the light on in me because I choose to. I choose to. But if I go dark, I'm going Thanos dark. So I think it makes sense for me to stay light, to share light, to create light, to eat light, to be light, because it's the safest way for the people around me and everybody around me. I think I love them. I love my community. And so I want to continue to be the light, because when I go dark, it's going to be not cool for a lot of people. So I'm saving lives. I'm done.
Please.
Well, I'll just be practical. I'm trying to keep it short. Cognitive security. Intelligence is materia prima. Like it's important, right? evil is automated reality. As right now, the best best human mouth sounds I get to summarize it. Automated reality. Every version of somebody saying, "Well, later we'll just the machine." No, whether it be machinery, people. Like we've had AI on wet work for centuries, y'all. Like I've seen it. Like you know what intelligence looks like when it seems. You've seen it. You've seen mechanical people go through mechanical motions that are just destructive. And when you look through old texts, you'll see what evil looks like. When you think about, remember, we're just making human mouth sounds. You don't get caught up on the language. Like, what were people describing in these old books? You know, what do you describe when you talk about zombies and vampires and demons? And they were talking about automated people. When you as a community, you see people and they start collecting as a group and it spreads. And evil is a real tangible thing. And so when I say when I'm thinking about resisting it, I mean evil in the field. I got we all got different roles in the story and stuff. And I've been beat up because of it, but I feel like I got something special to share at this next part, this next phase, because I'm trying to go to 160, what is it, 165? I think I'm trying to get to. So this is the first third. This is the first third of the life right now, and so I'm trying to. So I've been in a lot of different kinds of spaces that I realize when I talk to I'm now feel like I get to talk to my peoples. These are my peoples, and I can see how I was kept away from them for a long time, and I feel like when I that was when it kept me going. I was because I would see all over there. I call Jessica Care Moore is one of my heroes, right? And I feel like she has this orbit of 5 people. This artist is I feel in that solar system. And so there's all these cool artists whose work I know, not because I've got to meet them, we haven't got to kick it or do anything, but because I kept my eyes and my ears to what I saw. I saw it was my team. I was I can't get over there now. I'm getting pushed out of this community. I'm getting pushed out of this job. I'm getting pushed out of this place. But I knew that there was a coming together happening. So my way of resisting evil, to keeping evil from stopping the work, is to make sure I'm remembering that the solo work that I do in the valley or in the cave is still part of the big circuit, and to do that I gotta keep feeding myself. So it's you're feeding yourself art and you're making it and finding all the different ways to reciprocate. We were just talking about just spending that extra $20, $25 to go to that fundraiser show and not letting your brain, this is cognitive security, not letting your brain frame it the same way you frame fast food is $20 for a meal now, right? Yeah. So you spend $20 on a McDonald's meal, your body and your soul and your spirit is going to respond to you in a very different way than you spend $20 in a space with people vibrating and singing and dancing and moving. So that's one of the ways that tangibly I try to resist evil right there.
Respect, because I agree with all that. You're gonna go tangibly. I'm gonna go a little philosophically and shit. Be all whatever. I do think where we spend our money is really important. What you were talking about, we need to spend our money within our communities, but in a artsy schmancy way, because that's what they pay me the big bucks for, so I could talk shit in a fancy philosophical way. But I think everybody can relate to that. I want to say that, first of all, before I even answer your question, I'm honored to even be on this panel with all these amazing people. I feel like what I do is boring AF compared to everybody here. But so all of you who are maybe discovering me for the first time is why the fuck would I care about what this woman does, right? She is doing really obscure art, dances that I've never seen before, or I probably never do in my life, right? I'm imagining I'm in your place, and it's not relevant to what's happening in the world now, or it's my culture, or anything that I want to learn, and I see that. However, I see my dance practice more of a framework, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what could be done. This is what you could do. This is what you could do. This is let's share information. So for me, it's about it's about knowledge. Everything is about acquiring knowledge, acquiring truth and knowledge. But also, before you even acquire knowledge and truth, is actually we have to start from a place, which is, this is to answer your question, how do I fight evil? Which is, I start by acknowledging the embodied indigenous knowledge I have already. So what I mean by that is, some of you might have seen this dance video and they're okay, whatever, she's shaking her shoulders, she's stomping a couple steps. whatever. And in our way we view dance in America, right, we see it very differently. We see it as, maybe thin, maybe white, blonde hair, blue eyes, or, spinning in the sky, or hyper athleticism, or a certain different type of look or aesthetic or approach. And I think when you, as a dancer, you don't have any other intermediate, right? You don't have a paper, you don't have an instrument, whatever. Everything is here. This is the tool you have. You're forced to embody what you believe. You can't hide anything. You gotta be what you are, and that's it. So, and what I try to be is to say, like, there are certain ways in my culture that are normal, like dancing with your belly jiggling out, or I don't know, dancing, in a way that we think is out of Western norms or whatever. To say, in our information, this is the norm. In our knowledge, this is the norm. In our information, this is the norm. So we have our own ways of knowing and being and learning. Every single one of us, every single one of our cultures, every single one of our ancestries, no matter where you're from, no matter if you're Black American, you're Palestinian, all of you and all of us have ancestral information, way of being, way of moving, the way of talking, the way of, we have traditions, right? So when we think of the word tradition, they're always like, that's some boring shit, like from the, 1600s or whatever. But tradition is everything. Hip hop is a Black tradition, right? We have Mai's is a tradition. We have house music is a Black tradition, right? But there's so many traditions that exist. These are traditions, right? And I think if we say, amongst all of the kind of white supremacy that we live in, and we say, like, no, actually my people actually were very smart in what they did. Actually, they knew what they were doing, right? There's information for me that's inside of me that is precious, and I shouldn't belittle it because I'm supposed to fit in some box that's probably, colonial and white and imperialist and capitalist and all that shit. So, to answer your question, to be straight to the point, how I fight evil is to go back to me and say what I know and what they've taught me, what my family has taught me, and what my culture has taught me is truth. And I don't need to look anywhere else. And that's okay if it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like, what they tell us it's supposed to look like. But this is truth. And then I teach this, that this is truth. It's okay. So, yeah.
I have to admit, you kind of scared me with the question because, because the second you said the word evil and how do you prevent the evil from destroying you? How do you prevent it from tearing you to shreds? How do you prevent it from doing what it's supposed to do? I immediately went back to the beginning of the genocide and remembering watching videos of these soldiers with a little kid's bike in front of a destroyed house. And I have a 10-year-old now. She was 8 at that time, and I saw her little bike, and I was like, fuck, And I and I remembered, and this is why it scared me, because I knew that I tapped into that pain that I felt, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna get emotional. I was like, don't do that, dude. And you know what I mean? And we were always on the cusp of that, right? At any moment during that time, and even now, when we go backwards and we remember these memories of how horrible they were and how horrible they continue to be, and how we are the cash cow funding it for further death and destruction that they're planning even outside of Palestine, what they're already doing in Congo for the precious minerals that they're putting in these weapons to murder more people in other parts of the world. And then sticking it up our, literally, we've got a freaking piece of their leash and surveillance up our asses all day. And You know, it's like people were talking about a chip in the vaccine. I was like, they don't need to put a chip in a vaccine. You got the chip in your ass all day anyway. Like, what are you talking about? And they were like, huh, that's deep. And I'm like, no, it's not, dude. Just be observant, you fool. But you know, that's the thing that becomes the question of our age now, because every one of us, there's hella different generations in this room. And you know, at this point, I'm some 45-year-old whatever, you know, artist, know-it-all, you know, half the time I'm an asshole. And it's like, because I feel so incredibly privileged for like living the life that I get to live, yet I feel so exhausted because you got to work so hard to do all these things, and you have to stay creative and stay interesting, or nobody cares about your art. And then you got to feed your children, and that's the thing. So the question for us is your question, but it's a collective question. It's like, are we, and I remember somebody in the room was talking about, are we willing to stop paying our fucking taxes? You know, and you're talking about, are we ready to stop living their language out? Because their language is a language of erasure and evil and destruction and complete just like decimation of anything good. And your art,
But I also want to say, just to piggyback on you, our greatest threats are inside our own house. Yeah. And if anybody knows Gil Scott-Heron, yes, that's right. What is it? Home is where the hatred. No, home is where the hatred is. Yes. Come on, y'all. If y'all don't know that song, you need to look it up. Our greatest threats are inside our house. We are in control of who's in these offices that are causing wars and also funding wars that are taking and like wiping out a bajillion people. So I'm just gonna say that. Okay, I'm done.
Clarissa, how do you keep evil as an artist from doing its job?
Was being like mass consumed, but also seeing like how little institutionally that has actually like changed things for Palestine, for so many communities. I think there's a inclination for people to want to feel defeated and to feel like all these powers are just ever consuming, and that we actually can't make a difference. And I think that's exactly how they want us to feel, obviously. And I think as difficult as it is to constantly have to tell yourself that you can actually make a difference, being defiant of our enemies, I feel like is what pushes me. I don't want to be an easy check mark for my enemies to say like, yeah, we did that, done. I think like me wanting to be a pain to them and to resist that comes from feeling like I have no right to give them an easy path when I look at my grandparents and my great-grandparents, and I think of like the journeys and the struggles and the, you know, turmoils that they had to encounter, and that generations before that had to encounter, continue to encounter, and me and my day-to-day life and how many luxuries I have, how many comforts I have. I think that it's actually a duty of mine to continue to like push in every aspect and to hold on to that defiance, because that's actually, that's just how I feel like I was taught by my examples and by my culture, by my family, to like continue to push and I feel like it's an incredibly difficult process to not. It's so easy to get sucked into the doom and the pessimism, and I've seen how that has sucked life from my art and sucked creativity from my art, and even desire to create art. And I think it's seeing how dangerous that that mentality can be. I feel like it's very important for us in this moment to actually take back and reclaim our like power and our desire to change things in a more tangible way, and to like reject, as hard as it feels with AI and with tech. I mean, I'm living in the Bay Area right now, and it's just like, it feels like watching every new like rollout of some stupid thing we don't need, like another self-driving car around the city, another like dumb robot to do X, Y, and Z. I feel like they are trying so hard to subdue people into just accepting a really horrible reality. And I think that, we just have to continue to push or be defiant, and like whether that's through our art or through writing, whatever it could be, like we just have to continue. I refuse to like give my enemies like an easy path, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of what I think about it.
What about you?
Billboards. All the AI billboards.
Any questions from the audience? We have a few minutes. And does anyone have any questions for our culture makers on the stage?
Well, if anybody, I'm going to add something. If anybody is free tonight from 6:30 to whenever, my band, the Shadow Band, is playing at the old Spotlight. It's still Cairo Coffee, off on, what's the address?
2905
Buffet. It's on.
Put in Spotlight.
Yeah, put in Spotlight.
The map will take you there.
Spotlight Records. Yeah.
If you put in Spotlight, correct, it'll also take you there, or Cairo Coffee. That's actually
Yeah. Or Cairo Coffee. Yeah.
we'll take donations of any kind.
Yeah, it's actually a full. It's a fundraiser for prosthetics for Palestine. So if you want to buy a limb, you can come and you can donate directly to the Zephy. It goes right to the 501c3, and you can write it off with your taxes. So if you want to buy a limb for a kid, it's only $2,000. Think about that.
We got local artists, Legend, Valid, Photosynthesis, Zayansu, Zakaria Marabal, and Accenture, vendors, companies.
Sorry for the close.
A question here?
Can I? Oh,
Yeah, I do have a question. I'm just trying to formulate it in my brain. So, Lisa, your voice is so deep. Oh my God, come on.
I guess my question is, what the diversity on this panel, and we all seem to have the same story. With her asking, how do you fight evil? My question is, say for instance, if each one of you took 10 people in your circle and came together collaboratively, what would that look like to you as to fight the same system but from a different culture, but the cultures coming together? Does that make sense?
Are you saying I need to pick my people on my island so we can survive together? Is that what you're saying? Who they would be?
Well, pick your people, your people, your people, your people, your people, and put them on an island. What does that look like? Because I always have the question, and always have, of lobbyists who go in and pitch things. Why don't they look like us?
Oh.
Because they don't.
Because they don't. Are those?
And that's just from working in corporate. So.
Well, I don't know how to answer that, but if I had these guys in on my island, we would be all right.
Yes.
Be okay.
I would bring the whiskey. I could tell you that.
I would bring.
It wouldn't be that boring.
all the color pencils and seeds. I mean, like seeds to plant the garden so that we could eat.
I'll basically lobby.
Oh. So in my opinion, I think we're the United States of America, which means that we are a democratic place. So, but what I see in government is power and powerlessness. And some people define power with those who have money, which are like the 1% maybe. And when I say, the shit that's happening is from the inside of the house. So if we look at the leadership, to me it doesn't look good, but like Ashara says, the moon is always full, so it's my point of view. I think it's crappy. I don't care if you're Republican or Democratic, it looks like a situation. So I think there needs to be more real people running things, and I don't think it needs to look like this conservative box with these pantyhose. My hair needs to be straight, and I need to do this, and that's some bullshit. I think people need to be honest with who they are, and people like we have Rashida Tlaib, right? And she fights for things in Congress, and then they shut her down. And so I think there needs to be more real people who can handle real people, and that we need to let go of the idea that you're white and I'm black and you're this and you're that. We're all humans. And I guarantee you, if I cut you, you gonna bleed.
Sure did.
So we need to stop with the I belong to this, you belong to that, the notion of these things. Like, we're humans and we on this rock together, and as soon as an alien come in, we gonna let that shit go. But they're already here, I think. But that's just my point of view, and I don't know how we get more real people in office, because it's always been the same stuff that we have always voted for, but I don't know how we change that.
I think we tried, this like with everything with Kamala Harris's with her campaign. We literally all, like, as a multicultural group of anti-genocide people, like, went to the campaign like, you guys are gonna lose. This is a massive issue. People are on the streets mad. People are talking about the people that we never thought would talk about this. Like, white men, like, see this shirt and are like, I like your shirt, bro. And I'm like, whoa, I thought they'd be like, fuck you, asshole. But no, things changed. We were telling them, and what'd they do? They shut the door in our faces at the convention. They said, get out of here. We don't need to hear from you. So it's kind of answer to your question is like, I think
we're working on it. So
I know, but we can't work within that system, because that system needs just to be erased.
So I think I got some for you, like, because like I'm putting a crew together, like old school heist movie type shit, and so I'm being careful about how I speak and how much I speak and where I speak, and so that's what's got me a little bit like, but so reaction to that is DSA is crushing the midterms right now, right? That question, I think the answer is already happening, but it looks different than what we're used to. like the idea of getting like people together as a group to like basically like lobby the government is just one technique. The rapper Invincible, Alana Weaver. Remember, Alana used to always say that like each of these is a sledgehammer to the wall. And like my dude Amir, when we was out in Concordia doing the indigenous hip hop joint like years ago, he was talking about there's a wheel of power that's got a lot of spokes, and it's like people focus on one spoke, but if you break that spoke, they still got the whole wheel. And so when I think about like how we come together, I think there's been a lot of resistance to us coming together that we've noticed and felt that I think is falling apart right now. I genuinely think it is. So if you talk about like this is literally happening right now. Like she was like, yo, I mean, I'm looking for homies. Like I'm looking for homies too. We homies now. You know what I'm saying? And 20 years from now, like we were talking about them old photos, you see them photos of Baldwin and Maya Angelou and stuff. They was working on something, right? You know what I mean? And so I've been like I moved through for the role I'm in. Like I moved through a lot of different worlds, and I've been in like I've been like a prisoner in the class war before. And another thing I've noticed is that these communities have like we're moving into a more resonance node structure. We're moving away from linear hierarchies into resonance structures, and it takes some learning because we were taught Imperial English. That's why it's to be authentic English now, because Imperial English, it runs a script constantly, and you got to constantly be resisting it. But the thing that I've been noticing is that strong resonance nodes, like let's say like a Camellia Youssef, right? Like how many people know that name, right? So you said like Grace Lee Boggs, right? Like who left that legacy for us, right? Grace Lee Boggs is Alana Weaver's teacher, right? Alana Weaver, I was talking to DJ Kenjiro, dope musician. He was saying like, and the word invincible came up for both of us. It both meant the comic book, the cartoon, and Alana Weaver, like at the same time. And he was just saying like, he's like, yeah, me and my bro, he's like, Alana changed our lives. That was the first anti-Zionist we met, right? So the first anti-Zionist they met is of Jewish descent. That doesn't, you don't see that till 20 years later, and now it's 20 years later. So I think that what it looks like is very different from theirs. Theirs is very top heavy, so you see it from far away. We move different, and we move around Detroit, you see it, right? So I think we're doing it, and I'm looking forward to do more.
Do we have time for one more? One more, yes. Would you like to take that?
So I'm an artist in a community, and I'm listening to everybody, and I have an incredible respect for everybody. So one of the questions, piggybacking off of you, education. That's the key. But how we're educated is also the key. That's the key. How many of you, and I'm not putting anyone on the spot, I'm making a point. How many of you actually sat down and read about every candidate that's running on August the 4th? Be honest. How many of you sat down and read about each individual?
Just from Michigan or just?
Michigan, this Detroit area. So therefore, what you're saying to me is that you're going to vote or not vote based on what someone told you, based on what you saw on TV, but are you basing it on what you actually did as far as reading about each characteristic, how they live, where they live, what they've done? Did you really do a research?
I might have a surprising answer.
And so, but what I'm saying is,
you got the floor.
The education has to start with you. I don't believe anything that anyone say. I always fact check, and I will go through and read. So when I say education, you guys, education is in all of us. If I sit down and ask every single one of you to sit here and tell me your story, I just got educated. Because there's something you know and you learn from experience and you do that I would never know if I never ask you. And so piggybacking off your question, Detroit has one little teeny problem. We're a little bit too cliquish. We're too freaking cliquish in this country, in this city.
In this country.
And this country too. But let's start at home, like Sabrina said, let's start at home. If you in Woodbridge, you cliquish. If you in Midtown, you're cliquish. If you in wherever, we are so cliquish in this town because we are caught up into status, who we are, what we do. We hang out with crowds. I dare you to bring an old person from your community into your clique into your clique.
Oh, I do it all.
Into your clique. Into your clique.
No problem, it'll work.
I dare you to stop hanging around your type and bring in somebody who can tell you a story or experience or whether, and that's what we need to do when we talk about home. Let's start at home, talk to that man over there and his companion. Talk to this gentleman over here. Tell me something, because I know you know something I don't know. Talk to me, because I can tell you a lot of shit.
Amen.
And I know a lot of things. So the education you need, start with yourself. Stop hanging around with your people. That's my people, that's my tribe. No. Stop me. I live downtown, and I live among a diversity of people who work, move in around the city. People who have come here to settle, people who live here. And every day I make it a mission to stop and ask a homeless man, a white man, a corporate man, a white woman, a black woman, a child, a Hispanic, a Portuguese, an African. I stop every day and try to say, what are you looking for? Who are you? Whatever. I had a guy the other day, he stopped. He said, I like what you have on. I said, and who are you and what do you do? What do you do? He said, I'm a stripper.
Okay, amen.
Hey.
And I said, so how did you become a stripper living downtown? He said, I travel from city to city and whatever. But the point I'm making, you guys, and he was a white young man, and he didn't look like nobody I want to see with the clothes off, but that wasn't the point. The point was, he stopped me, he had our conversation. You know how many people we pass every day and we'll say, hi, how are you? We won't even speak. We won't even speak.
Oh, no, we speak it.
We speak in Detroit. We speak in Detroit.
We won't. Right. But when I'm downtown, I'm in a different environment and I see different people, and I make them speak. I make them speak by passing and say good morning, and some of them are shocked, some of them respond. But I'm saying the education starts within ourselves. If you really want to, how many meetings have I come to like this? And I ain't gonna tell you how old I am. I've gone to 1,000+ meetings in Detroit. I've been here a long time. I've been educated at Wayne College for Creative Studies. I haven't. I've traveled all over the world. We have to stop being cliquish in Detroit and start making ourselves available to everyone we see. Make the comment. You know, all of these homeless black men that work on the street, did you know most of them came from the car industry and they were the best tool and die makers from Dodge and all the whatever, and we could put them to work, or we could hear their stories, or we can figure. So what I'm saying, there's stories and stories, but at the end of the day, it's about education, and it's not getting a degree. It's what we do within ourselves in our home. I need to know who you are. Give me your story. That's education. So that's what I'm saying. It starts with education, and it's not in the institutions.
That's real talk. I want to respond to that education bit and just remind us that education is not just collecting data, because that's the way the word gets used a lot in our culture. And so I want to say that to the political point, because you can make presumptions about people based on your own perspective. So you might say like, well, have you checked on all these different candidates? And it really depends on like what you're trying to do and who you are, and which, because let's be real, like I'm Rebel Alliance all day. I don't need to check all of the stats, not all of them. There are core issues and ideas that if you don't stand with humanity on it, excuse my language, or not, fuck you, right? So when a candidate gets up and starts hemming and hawing about Israel's right to defend itself, I don't give a fuck about like they don't even have plans. There's so many, let's speak on it, Democratic candidates that do not have plans for improving the lives of human beings, and fuck them. I'm not reading up what I'm not going to their websites. I'm not checking up on them. I'm not trying to see who I were raised, where they come from. So I just want to speak to that, because that was wisdom, what you were saying about like getting the big picture and all those pieces. And also, but I like this, but versus the rebel in me, my other personality is like, yo, but let's not be too sweet with it about like, we gotta give everybody a chance and listen, and like, no, we do not. If you know you stand for life and humanity, there are thousands of candidates that do not matter to you, and we are in a war. So when we talk about voting and community and cliques and stuff, and also I'm like happy to be the one to inform you that like generations are moving different. You come from a very cliquish generation, ma'am. I know your generation. Y'all cliquish as fuck, right? But like right here where we're at right now, I'm not a cliquish dude because I'm not allowed to be. I don't fit in cliques. I don't have a clique. So be careful when we're making presumptions, or when we're kicking it and educating each other. We can make presumptions about people, and I always want to make sure we're always presuming that we're moving towards a broader consciousness. And to do that, we have to assume that people are being educated. They are learning. When you see numbers like men not going to college and say, oh, they need to get to college. No, black women that took college over. Good job on that, y'all. Y'all rock that shit, right? So like this, they kicked them out. They kicked them out. There's a lot of really intelligent people that figured out 20 years ago to stop going to school. And so that's the piece right there.
Education I'm talking about. Your education is what you bring to the table. That's yours, and that's what we need.
Real talk. Peace.
Real talk.
What if, for the 250th anniversary of this country, we got a bunch of artists together in a room and we talked about battle cries and freedom fighting and resistance and how to make things different? What if we decided to do a reset?
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Well, I thought that's what we're doing right now.
I think it's what we're doing right now. I want to thank our American Sign Language interpreters. We've got Angela and Amira right here. Thank you so much for your work. And thanks everyone for being here right now. And thank you, artists, for making a nest.
Neda, can I plug something actually? Because I have an event going on next week.
Please do.
And I have a dance workshop next Sunday. Shout out to Comedia. Next Sunday, if you're around, the 26th, at the American Riyadh, I'm having an outdoor workshop, Algerian dance workshop. It's sliding scale, pay whatever you can. It's going to be a 2-hour workshop in the beautiful, outside. So come talk to me after. Or get one of those papers. Get one of those papers. It's going to be in the morning, 11 to 1. 11, 12.
And I want to say that I don't have anything going on right now except for everything going on right now. I'm that movie, Everything All at Once at the Same Time, whatever the name of it is. You know what I'm talking about. Do you guys know that movie I'm talking about?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. I'm working on a series in my studio, but I'm also, I just got a fellowship with New Lab, Michigan Central, and Henry Ford Hospital, and we're going to figure out how to tie art and medicine together. So I'm going to be doing workshops throughout the city where I'm going to invite people who live here to do sound healing, dance healing, visual art healing. And so we're going to be going to the museum. I'm going to be inviting people to participate or to collaborate with me so we can figure out how to heal people in the city with a prescription of culture and arts. So just look out for that.
Thank you for being our doctors.
Thank you.
Can we take a photo?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for coming to attend. I just want to encourage you guys to go visit the rest of the Concert of Colors events this weekend at the DIA on the North and South Lawn.
You guys come in front of
Thank you.
Because then that's the VR.
You're right.
Yeah, you want to take a picture?
Yeah, we're going to do it outside. We're going to do it in front of the table?
Yeah, okay.
How about that?
هذا حبيبتي.
You want to go to the middle? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, are you speaking to me now? Sorry. No, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I know I know the tech issues are always so difficult when you try to do some hybrid thing. So I'm really appreciative. Thank you so much.
To take the light.
Okay.
Oh, wait, just a moment. Okay.